Hey guys, welcome back to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with a Draven updated complete guide, of course, for the latest patch. So I feel that Draven is not really in the best spot right now, but honestly, Draven has never really been in a great spot, unless you count his release. It's one of those kind of champions where, if you're good at him, he's gonna do well. Otherwise, you know, he is always never really gonna be the best, something like that. Right, but before we get into it, you guys can check out the video in the cards above right now for his skills, leveling order tips and tricks, as well as a couple combos. But with all that said, let's jump straight into it. So Draven really has kind of like a couple of different build variations. So I think this is the most kind of common one. The other one involves going for the collector. And looking at the top players right now, you can see that, yeah, there's a wide range of builds. So my build is following the third top player's build, and also runes. You have a lot of options, but we'll get to that when we reach that actual section of the video. So starting it off first, right? Of course, we have the Gluttonous Greaves, as usual, for the early AD and the Omni Vamp, and then of course, likewise, we also have our usual item Bloodthirster as our first item, of course, for the early AD physical vamp, as well as bonus stats when you're high on health. Then you have IE as your second item. Now the other builds generally go for collector as a second item here, because you don't want to build collector so late. You want to build it early, but BT is still more important. And also, of course, you have the charge blade build, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. So you have IE for a second item, huge amount of AD, as well as, of course, giving you more crit damage. And then here you have the Magnetic Blaster. So what the Blaster really does for you here is it gives you, number one, more attack speed, but number two, it gives you that bonus attack range. So with Draven, since his autos already hurt so much, just getting that extra one auto with the bonus attack range onto somebody is really gonna hurt. It can chunk them for like a quarter or a third health in the mid to late game. And that's going to be very helpful, before the team fight even starts. And this can also be swapped out with an item that gives you more damage but less utility, which is Charge Blade. So Charge Blade, of course, with Draven, you use your W, you can spam your W a lot and get Charge Blade stacks to then, of course, prop onto enemies and then deal extra magic damage. So this gives you more damage, but it doesn't give you the bonus range. So you can swap, the blaster out with Charge Blade if you prefer. And then obviously you have more reminder for the armor pen and grievous wounds. And last item is defensive. If I can go for Maw, I would always go for Maw because AD is amazing on Draven. So if I can go for Maw, I will go for it. Otherwise, you have items like GA, Twin Guard, Starex, etc. So for the runes, here is where you have a lot of diversity as well. So Draven really can take all the three main, yellow keystone runes, right? Which is, you can go for Lethal Tempo for the attack speed. Now, personally, out of the three, my personal favorite is Lethal Tempo because I think it's really smooth when you kind of just stack up Lethal Tempo in late game team fights and then just DPS everybody down and carry the team fight from there. However, very popular also is Conqueror. So Conqueror kind of have a similar concept, but instead of giving you attack speed, you get more AD and Omnivamp as well. So this one, of course, Draven loves AD, so really helpful. And then the most early game focused rune is PTA. So sometimes Dravens, will love taking PTA because at the end of the day, Draven is a snowball champion. So you need to kill people in lane, start your snowball, and get going, right? So PTA is the best rune for that, where you, of course, get 3 hits onto someone and then they take extra damage. And then, of course, you can run them down, hopefully, and then get a kill on them. So really, all of these options kind of work. It's really about your preference between the 3 options. All of them have their own pros and cons. So for the rest, it's the standard ADC setup: Brutal, Giant Slayer, Alacrity, as well as Bone Plating. And then for the spells, you have Flash together with whatever you need. So it could be Cleanse, it could be Exhaust, or Barrier. But with all that said, let's move on to the gameplay section of the video. Okay, so let's move on to the gameplay. Of course, as usual, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Any questions, queries, or remarks, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Of course, I will be sure to address them. So here you can see I actually end up going to the wrong lane, kind of like a fool, and my support kind of follows me there as well. So we started the game with a little bit of an oopsie, going to top lane instead, or rather Baron lane instead of the duo lane. So we end up in kind of the wrong spot. But thankfully we are going to be able to reach lane soon, and might miss a minion or hopefully not. But yeah, definitely not quite where we want to be, right? So thankfully the enemy team pushes the wave, and this allows us to pick up the first minion and continue on farming, right? I mean, they basically just shoved the lane in, which is completely fine. So let's talk a little bit about the lane, right? So here I'm playing with a Nami against a Lucian Seraphine, right? So normally Draven prefers to play with engaged support so they can go in early and then you can follow up and get kills. But of course you don't always get to choose your support. So I mean, I would say Draven really works with any support, right? Because Draven really relies more on you and how good of a player you are than your support. Of course, the support can make your job a lot easier. However, at the end of the day, Draven is not a very support-dependent champion, which is why Draven is one of those champions that like Smurfs like to play in low elo, because you can rely on him and you can rely on yourself to really carry the game, and you don't are not really reliant on support, unlike something like a Callista or a Samira, right? So here we are with a Nami. Nami is decent, I guess, because you do have a couple forms of CC. Nami is pretty aggressive early game with her W poke, as well as of course being able to buff you up with her E. Here Lucian is dashing in on us, and we are taking a chunk. Now, honestly, Lucian Draven matchup is relatively even because Draven has good DPS over time, but Lucian has really front-loaded burst, right? So a lot of the time, as we disrupt the Rammus here with the stand aside, and Nami's kind of getting caught out a little bit. But here you can see we are basically just ignoring the tail end of the fight, and we're just going for the squishies, right? So here we actually kill both of the squishies, and we're now in a 1v1 against Rammus. However, I'm tanking like 2 cannon minions and like another 2 more minions. I'm not gonna win that 1v1 against Rammus. I mean, even if I wasn't, I think it would be pretty close. But with the minions there, ain't no way I'm winning that fight. Right, so I kind of got a little bit lost in talking about the gameplay and kind of forgot what I was, referring to earlier, but that's fine. But basically, as you guys can see, we got 2 kills and a death, and crucially, the 2 kills came before the death, right? So this, of course, allows you to cash in and get the bonus gold. So you can see at this current stage, I'm 400 gold up on the Lucian. A lot of it, like 200 gold of it, of course, is from the actual cash in. So that is really great for the snowball. And you do have instances where, for example, you trade 1 for 1, but you die and then your axe hits the enemy and kills them, so you actually get the kill after you die, which meant you already lost half of your stacks, which is very unfortunate. With Draven, of course, ideally you always want to cash in whenever you can. Something like this here, I'm just running down the Seraphine, right, just ulting and then just killing her, right? This is kind of what you can do when you are actually ahead, right? So if I was behind, I couldn't make this kind of aggressive play, but the fact that you're ahead means that you can play a lot more aggressively and then continue your snowball and play even more aggressively and then keep going on and on and on from there. That's kind of how Draven works, right? So now that we've gotten that kill, we now complete our Vamp Scepter and another longsword for even more AD. Meanwhile, Lucian only has a mana crystal for some reason. Maybe he's going for mana immune, and as well as his Gluttonous Greed. So we have a pretty huge lead against the Lucian right now, and honestly, at this point, we can pretty much take a fight against them, whenever, unless of course Rammus ganks or something like that. Here, Lucian even has to pop the culling to clear the wave because he realizes the wave is getting frozen by me right there. And here they both get hit by the Nami wave. I just flash forward, get the kill onto Lucian. Seraphine decides to stick around enough for me to actually kill her. I'm not sure why she didn't just run away, but she ends up sticking around long enough for me to actually get the kill on her. So we kill her as well, why not? And then, unfortunately, the next wave comes in, right? So we're not able to really push the wave into tower and get tower plates because the death timers are really low at the beginning of the game. So after getting these minions, we gotta take a reset because otherwise, Lucian's gonna reach back to lane and we can't reset anymore. As I mentioned, that Lucian has now reached the lane and is now clearing the minions. So here we have enough for Bloodthirster, so we do pick up the Bloodthirster. You can see the huge discrepancy here. Lucian is building mana immune, so he has a tier and a longsword right now. So we both have Gluttonous Greed, so that cancels out. But now it's a longsword versus a Bloodthirster, right? There's no fight even to be had here. We can just bully him, and if he gets anywhere near us, he's gonna die, right? Because there's no way he wins and a fight with us at this point just because of his itemization. So he has decided to go mid, right? I'm trying to ping enemy missing there, but I end up pinging assist me instead. So Lucian is now gone mid, and so has the Seraphine. So this leaves me alone with the tower and bot. So I'm not gonna bother about the mid lane fight. I'm gonna help out by tossing my ult there just to do a little bit of damage to whoever is there. But this is free tower plates for me. Like as of now, I've already gotten right now I've already gotten like 2 kills worth of gold, right? I've gotten like 600 gold from this tower. I'm still whacking the tower. And if they don't stop me, I'm gonna get the entire tower. So meanwhile, while everybody else is running around in the mid lane, I'm taking the tower, Jax is taking the Herald, and enemy team is just walking around doing really nothing. So here we get first tower. Total gold we got from the tower is worth like 3.5 kills, right? And here I'm resetting immediately. Thankfully, I managed to complete the reset before I get caught out. Now, if I get caught out there and die, that would be pretty unfortunate. However, it still would be a good trade because we get essentially 3.5 kills worth of gold from that tower, and we get gold for our entire team as well, considering that's first tower. And then we also, and if we die, you know, that's a good trade. Still a good trade, but we lose our stats, right? That's obviously not optimal. So here, we're so ahead that we're actually doing decent damage to Rammus. I say decent damage because Rammus is, of course, an extremely tanky champion that generally ADCs cannot really deal with. But the fact that we are actually doing a little bit of damage to him, despite the fact he has Thornmail already, is actually really great. Of course, the problem with him having Thornmail is simply the fact that he's going to reflect a lot of that damage back onto us. But that's just not how the champion works. So here now we've taken bot, we want to kind of take over mid. So I'm paying for Ahri to go bot, but she is not having it. She's just auto pathing mid. So whatever, you know, we're just gonna go for this tower. And now we've gotten the tower, right? So since Ahri is refusing to go bot and the wave is piling up, has not yet crashed into the tower, we're gonna go bot ourselves to pick up that wave. Now we see a control ward there, but we're not gonna waste time clearing it. We'll let our support do that because we want to quickly get here before the minions die, right? Most important is of course grabbing the minions, grabbing the gold, like what you see here. So now we hit level 9. Of course that's rank 2 ultimate, another huge spike. And yeah, now we're at 8k gold in 7 minutes at this point, right? And no enemy is even close, right? I have about the combined goal of the Lucian and the Seraphine. So of course, with Draven, when you get your snowball rolling, it gets rolling. Of course, you can't get too overconfident and start getting caught out left, right, and center. However, when you do get this fed, it's just a simple matter of running over the enemy team and just, you know, killing the Nexus, right? So here I'm gonna briefly start talking about Draven's other builds, right? So personally, I think that this magnetic blaster build is really the most consistent way to build Draven, right? So I think that the charge blade build is a very greedy build because that doesn't give you the range, right? But if the enemy team gets into an all-out fight with you, of course you do end up having more damage. However, you can't always rely on that. I think having the little bit of poke is more helpful, right? So here the enemy lane is getting caught out again. I hit a relatively good ult. Unfortunately, I can't reach to actually catch it. I could flash and auto for the kill, but I don't think that's really worth it at this point. Here Ahri takes a huge chunk from the ultis of of Lucian as well as Veigar, but does survive on really low HP. So we are still completely fine. Now here I'm just attacking the fruit to maintain the spinning axis. And then, of course, the other build is the Collector build. Now, as I mentioned, I'm not a huge fan of Collector, and there are definitely better alternatives. Now, the main reason why you would go for the Collector build is if you don't want an attack speed item. So, for example, some people don't like building attack speed items on Draven at all. So, Charge Blade and Blaster are both attack speed items, but Draven scales very well with AD. So, if you go for Collector, you can go for like BT into Collector, into IE, and then into More Reminder, which then gives you no attack speed items. Here, I overextend a ton, but I actually am saved by number 1, the cleanse, and number 2, the veil, to not get completely caught on. I play completely dumb here, but I actually escaped with my life there, which probably shouldn't have been the case, but it was. So we got really lucky there. Yeah, so those are the kind of reasons why you would go for those 2 other builds. But I think as a default, going for this magnetic blaster build is pretty much the best build to go for in general. So here being very fed, there's no objectives really up, so there's nothing too much to really do, right? So our job is pretty simple. All we want to do is to clear minions, continue on farming and getting gold and not getting caught out, right? So the number one thing you don't want to do is what I almost did just now, which is to walk up too far and then get caught out and then die and give over a shutdown, or, you know, just die and be off the map in general. So here Rammus is apparently trying to catch out Nami, but didn't realize I was behind and then starts rolling away immediately. So here the dragon is coming up. Unfortunately here our Jax is just farming our minions down there, so we're instead just gonna kind of walk around and wait for dragon to come out because there's nothing much to really do, right? Like Jax is farming all the minions, and there's 4 men top, by the way. So there's 4 people in the top lane. This first dragon was taken by the enemy team, which is Infernal, so we just wanted to take a dragon here to deny Infernal Soul, which of course is the best soul you could get. But the enemy team isn't even trying, so it kind of begs the question, like, do we really need 3 people here to take this dragon? When there are 4 people 4v2ing us in top lane? Well, I don't know. But either way, we get the dragon, and we're gonna rotate to mid lane, pick up this pretty huge wave, and we can't really see the enemies anymore, so we don't really want to overextend too far. And here there is the blue buff share, so we're just going to get that. Now, blue buff is not really essential on Draven, but what blue buff allows you to do is spam your W. So your W is something that gives you movement speed and attack speed, but you don't want to be spamming it, because if you do, you're going to run out of mana really quickly. So the only time you can actually spam it is when you have blue buff, because the mana regen you get from blue buff will of course allow you to spam the W without too much consequence. So here you can see Rammus is getting into a fight with Ahri, and Rammus has used everything on Ahri. So here, at this point I have over 100 stacks. I'm really trying to cash in, trying to kill somebody. So here I hit the auto onto Draven. Seraphine ult doesn't hit anybody. And here we're just hitting. I get exhausted, so I'm going to back off a little bit. And we barely kill the Draven. Look at that, we got an 812 gold cash in from that kill. That's insane. So anyways, now here we saw Veigar use all his spells except the ulti, so we're gonna run him down. He actually ults us and we survive. So here, once again, we get really lucky here. I think we probably should have died to Veigar there, but just because of how ahead we are, we're able to run him down and survive, even with him ulting with his dying breath. So honestly, that fight, huge goal injection for us. Kill onto Lucian and kill onto the Veigar as well, and that also gives us a cash in, giving us like 800 gold. I'm not sure how we got that much gold from the cash in, but that's what I saw. I'm not sure if that was wrong, but by the way, this Lucian build is really strange. She has like mana immune into Essence Reaver, which is fully like a spell based build, like focusing on your spell damage, which is pretty strange. But I did see one of the top Lucian players go for that when we made the Lucian video like a couple days ago, so I don't know if that's legit or not. Maybe I have to try it for myself. We'll see. But here, at this point, my team is running on anything. You can see Garen behind on the flank. We're ignoring him and running forward, so he's not going to be able to flank us if we keep running forward, and he gives up the flank and basically just goes for the wave at this point. Now here we're tanking a little bit of tower damage, but we're fine. Garen now going for the mid lane wave, and my team is looking to try to stop him maybe. Honestly, I don't really care too much about the Garen. I kind of want the Baron instead, right? But the issue is that Jax is dead, so Rammus is dead as well. And then I start the Baron and I realize that, wait a minute, like, enemy has vision of Baron, right? And Rammus is now up and Jax is still 14 seconds away. What's gonna happen is we give them a free leash and they get the Baron for free. So it's definitely not a good idea to be doing the Baron there. So I realized that, thankfully, a mid Baron, and then we back off. So here, we're just farming jungle camps, just keeping our farm up. Of course, we nearly have the Mole Reminder already. We also picked up a Stasis just for an added level of safety. So we do have our Stasis, we have the Cleanse, we also have the Veil from Nami to protect us if she does Veil us. Now Volibear here is getting super caught out in the enemy jungle. So here, initially I was thinking there's no way Volibear survives, right? So I'm just gonna clear a wave and see what we can do while he's trying to survive. But ends up that with Nami's help, he actually survives. He doesn't even actually die, and he's actually running them down, ironically. And here, Garen is kind of caught out, so we're just trying to run him down together with our Volibear. Now, unfortunately, Garen's a little bit too tanky and survives because of the Seraphine shield. I think without it, he probably would have died. But at the end of the day, we still have a dead Veigar, we still have a dead Lucian, and we have a Baron that's now up. And we have our jungler this time, so all we gotta do is to go get a pretty easy Baron. Our jungler, however, on the wrong side of the map. He's trying to make his way over here. And he's taking the gate, which I think makes it pretty obvious that we're doing Baron, if it wasn't already obvious enough. So here, Rammus just comes in and steals it. I don't know if Jax got in too late or what really happened, but in the end, enemy team gets the Baron, which is pretty unfortunate. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I actually stopped DPSing the Baron for a while because I kind of realized that Rammus was here, but Jax was not. And then I saw Jax close, and then I started DPSing it again. But I don't know if I DPSed it too fast, or Jax was too slow in getting into the pit or whatnot. But whatever the case is, we end up losing Baron, which is pretty unfortunate. So now we're on to the Dragon. As you guys can see here, Ari catches up the Seraphine. I ult the Seraphine, doesn't quite die, but takes a huge chunk. Volibear is now running all of them down. And now we're just trying to run people down. I'm just flashing forward, just going for kills at this point. We get the kill onto the Veigar, who is a pretty important target, so I think it's alright. So here Rammus is coming in. Unfortunately, I'm actually really not sure what happened there. I nearly killed Lucian there. I thought that last auto would have killed him, but he ends up living on 1 HP. So 3 autos nearly one-shots the Lucian there. So honestly there, I thought that Rammus hit me and that's why I cleansed, but I had Veil on me, so I think he didn't actually hit me. Because I didn't actually cleanse anything, I think, and the Veil also wasn't even popped. So I think he hit someone else. I'm not sure. But anyways, here we're now really fed. I mean, we were really fed pretty much the entire game, right? But we have like what, 17k gold at this point. We're nearly full build. Now we're going for GA as the last item because number one, we have a huge bounty, right? So we don't really want to give away our shutdown. And of course, GA reviving us is always going to be a good thing if our team can, you know, protect us while we're reviving. But also, the enemy team is pretty high on AD, right? So you have, of course, you have the Lucian, you have the... Honestly, they're not really that high on AD, right? But you do have, of course, Lucian's damage and Garen as well. And then Rammus does a little bit AD as well. But they do have a decent amount of AP with the Veigar as well. Of course, Seraphine is building support, so not a lot of AD coming from that direction. I thought Rammus was hiding in there, but I guess he wasn't. So here I'm going to take a reset. Probably have enough to... I was going to take a reset to complete my GA, but I realized that the fight is going to break out here. So I cancel my reset, and then I start running the enemy team down. Rammus is getting completely caught out. Huge charm from the Seraphine onto like 4 people, but I think my team is a little bit too ahead at this point. I'm just rocking straight at them and running them down. Unfortunately, not getting kills on any of them personally, so no cash-ins here. But you can see I lifesteal off of the wolves and basically go back to full HP. Now lifestealing off the minions and just clearing the minions in general. Now Garen is deciding to split push. We know we can kill Lucian in like 3 autos at this point, so we're just walking menacingly towards him, and he has to kind of walk away because otherwise he's just gonna get 3 shot. But yeah, so here at this point, Elder and Baron are both spawning. So here we complete our GA. We're full build, 100% full build before the objective comes up. So we have GA, right? We can play a little bit more reckless. Of course, you shouldn't view GA like that, but my point is that if we make a mistake, GA is probably gonna be there to save us. So here, as usual, before you go for an objective, you want to get mid lane prio. Like this. So here Jax has finally spawned, and he's coming to the dragon. So here we're just kind of securing the area. Rammus ends up catching me out a little bit. I cleanse away, and then just kite away from him. Veigar now here one-shots me, but as you guys can see, I have the GA, and no one is really on me after that. So I'm all good, getting down the ward there. Lifestealing off the Elder Dragon to basically go back to full HP. So GA immediately put to, I don't know if you could say it's good use, but I would say it's good use because Veigar tried to one-shot me and was unsuccessful. Now for some reason, the entire enemy team decides to go for the Volibear instead of trying to contest the Elder. So now here with the Elder, we can get rid of the Garen, get a cash in for 4 gold, shout out to Jin, and then using the ult to try to snipe people out. Doesn't really matter, Volibear is not just running them all down. Now with the Elder, with a relatively low Veigar and Seraphine, only there to defend the base, we should be able to force the end of the game. There we go, Jax proccing the Elder onto Seraphine. Only Veigar is left. Tries to use the cage to defend. And here I'm just going to run him down, right? I know I can kill him like 2 autos. I kill him, and then I reset tower aggro using my stasis. And unfortunately, the minion wave dies. So Nami ends up tanking the tower and does end up dying. However, we are going to be able to finish the game right after that. So with that, I'm going to leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.
Victory!